Hello, everybody. I'm back again. I thought I would make an inspirational story this time. Um, I'm gonna make up a name. Um, Her name is Jody. I don't know if that's the best name, but I'm gonna go with it. But this is about a girl. Um, she came from a dysfunctional home, always the black sheep in the family, and she finally moved out of her parents' house at the age 17 years old. It wasn't easy for her. She was still in high school and she met this guy. He was 8 years older than her. He was basically 26 when she was only 17, turning 18, something like that. Um, but they met up somewhere through a friend. And what happened, they finally eventually got together. And she became pregnant at 18 years old, and she was still in high school. She tried her best, but she had a baby too young. She was 18, going to be, no, she just turned 19, sorry. She just turned 19 a month before she had her child, and she was still completing her schooling. But the funny thing is that the baby she had was very colicky and had a lot of febrile seizures all the time. So he was sick. He was a very sick little boy, always having seizures, febrile seizures. Um, um, I think a lot of the reason was for the seizures is because when you raise a fever, um, some babies can't handle the hotness and they start to go through convulsions, and that's what happens. It's really sad to see a little baby do that in your arms. Most awful experience ever. But because he was sick so much, she missed so many days of school. That means she would have to repeat the whole grade all over again. What did she do? She quit school. Why? She always wonders why. She asks herself that question all the time. Why? Why did you do that? You could have gotten all the things earlier in life. Could have accomplished so many things earlier instead of later in life. But it's because eventually when she had more children, of course, and she didn't think about, the consequences of not finishing high school. And she realized later that she wasn't going nowhere. It was hard to find jobs that she really wanted, that paid decent, and the other jobs that she didn't want didn't really pay so well. But she did what she could do to support her children, you know. But eventually, when she turned about, I think it was 31, She finally went back to school. She got her high school diploma. She finished her high school diploma finally. She graduated, and that was in like 2012. And then after that, I think it was like 6 months after that, she had colleges calling her, and she finally made the effort to start her bachelor's in psychology. And she did. She finished and she graduated with that too, with her bachelor's degree in psychology. And she got a 2.93 GPA. The only thing that brought it down was the math. The math was very difficult for her, but she definitely succeeded in accomplishing a higher education. And then after that, she was finished with her psychology. She went back for her master's in mental health and wellness. And she completed that with a GPA of a 3.93. And the reason why that was higher is because there was no math involved. But while she was doing that, she also went to BOCES for her certificate of completion as an administrative medical assistant. And she went for her internship. But she was more, um, um, she felt it was more important to finish her psychology at the time because she was doing it at the same time. So, but when she got her master's, she finally, because at that time she was working for the school district and she was, it was just a side job, just a small little job that helped out bring in the money while her husband um, brought in the majority of it. But the wife would help him do body work, hard labor, and they would bring the money in together. It was great. But all that time, her children were watching her, wondering, if my mom can do it. I know I can do it. Why can't I do it too? That's why the mother always got on the case of the children. You know, she just didn't want them to turn out making the same mistakes as she did. She was going to make sure that they finished at least high school. And then if they wanted to go further with education, that was up to them. Most parents want their kids to go to college. What I want was just for them to finish their high school, and if they wanted to go to college, that's up to them. You can't force a child to do what they don't want to do, even though it's good for them. They just don't realize it until later on in life. But but her kids would look at her and say, "Wow, my mom did that. Why can't I? Why not?" You know? And the kids today, her kids today, um, they're trying. And she's thinking about going back to get a degree with an internship on top of that so she could get a better higher paying job so she doesn't have to struggle so much. But we'll see how that goes. But that was the inspirational story because you know how um sadly many girls drop out of high school, not girls, but guys too, drop out of high school. They think it's so cool. You know, I don't need this, I don't need that, but believe it or not, we do need it. Without a high school diploma, it's hard to find at least a decent paying job, you know, just to start with. Now, if you want a higher, awesome paying job, you have to, you have to sadly get it at least a training program or a higher education like a bachelor's or a master's or doctoral. But or even just like training, like welding, or some people want to go for administrative medical assistant or CNA, a nurse. You still you have to go through training courses. It's like you have to if you want to go that far. Even an inspector, that inspects buildings and stuff, they have to go to school too. They have to go to training courses. Even DSPs, they have to get trained before they even go into the field fully. So one way or another, higher education, training programs, you know, on the training job, you're learning new skills, you're gaining more experience in something. So that is something, if you really want to accomplish something better in your life, sadly, you at least need some sort of educational background. You need a high school diploma, definitely. If you want to go to college or you want a training program, got to do it. You want to be a coach, stuff like that. You got to have a high school diploma or maybe even a coaching certificate. Doesn't matter. So this was basically a story about a woman that started having her struggles from a young age because she had a child way too early while she was still in high school. And because her child was sick all the time, she had to drop out, or she would have to complete the grade all over again. And then she got pregnant more on top of more on top of more. And then she realized one day, just sitting there, wow, I'm not going nowhere in my life. And that's when she decided, I'm going back to school. And it took her till 31 years old. Then after 31, the bachelor's degree, the master's degree, the administrative and medical assistant certificate of completion with internship. And she still wants to do more. Now she wants to go and try to travel. Now all her kids are grown up. She wants to do so much with her life. Now all her kids left home. She's by herself. And now she doesn't have to stay put anymore if she doesn't want to. She can live her life finally, even though she loves her children. She wants a life. And now her kids look at her and hopefully respect her for her accomplishments and knowing that they can do it too. So that is the topic I really wanted to talk about because it's important. It really is. There are many people like her out there that want to do so much and want something better out of life. And sometimes, sadly, some people don't put the effort forth to go back, finish, and then accomplish much more on top of that. They say, I'm too old. No one's ever too old to do anything if they put their mind to it. Believe me, there was like an 80-something-year-old woman that graduated high school and then got her bachelor's. I think she was like she was 80 and she finally got her bachelor's at 87. But that's amazing. You know, you look at people like that, you're never too old for anything. You're never too old. You just got to keep going and know that you're worth something. You're worth more. You are. So really, I hope you got something out of the story. It was more of an inspirational story because how, like I said, how she started with nothing and now she became something more. But now she's still wanting to get more educational backing, um, so she can get a better job. Because sometimes when you go to college, you think, oh man, when you get right out of college, you're going to find that exact job that you're looking for. Sometimes it doesn't work that way, sadly. Sometimes it does. You're lucky. But some places, it's hard to find it. Or they want more educational on top of what you don't have. So that means you got to go back. Some people want more than one educational backing. Yeah. If you look at a lot of the like on Indeed and all that kind of stuff, when you look on there, they want a social worker with a with something else, and then have a nurse degree on top of that. They want to have it all in one shot. And she never wanted to be a nurse. Yeah, I don't know why, but it's just not for her. But she's still at it, trying her best, even though at times she still does struggle, but she's doing better from when she started from. Yes. And I'm happy for her. I I hope you guys got something out of this and know that no matter how old you are, young you are, you can still be an inspiration to somebody through your education, through your personality, in your love, what you give to someone. You can be so much to somebody else. And people look at you and say, wow, what makes her that way? How is she so stubborn and so strong at the same time? How does she how does she do all that? No, why can't I? And at the end, it does cost money though, also. So just remember that. Even though she got somewhere, sometimes it does cost too. So, I hope you got something out of this video. And if you guys want to like leave a comment to me or um, talk or give good advice or, or if you experience like the same thing or you have like an inspirational story, I'd like to hear it. It'd be kind of nice. Maybe we could share like other inspirational stuff. Maybe you could build each other up. Well, have a good night, 'cause here it's 1:31 in the morning. It's early in the morning already. Have a good early morning or good night or good morning. 'Cause some people on the other side is already morning. It's already the next day. But for now, adios. Bye guys.